For more on this, we're joined by the chair of the Africa Foreign Press Association, Kennedy Wandera. Mr. Wandera, welcome. Tell us about this association. Why has it been set up?
Thank you so much for having me. Like you put it rightly, on 15th we'll be launching this particular association. And the association is for the foreign journalists working and covering Africa, the continent, be it on the African continent or outside the continent in the diaspora. So the essence of doing this is to bring colleagues together who are covering the African continent so that we can deliberate on how well we can cover the continent other than just focusing on conflicts and bad governance on the continent.
Yeah. So
we thought it was important to bring colleagues from different media houses, from BBC, from VOA, from DW, Al Jazeera, CNN, FP, AP, and so on, so that at least we can have a platform where we can talk about African perspective, because that is what really enriches the conversation about Africa.
Yeah. So you want foreign journalists to engage with African journalists, essentially, about reporting of Africa, about how that changes perceptions around the world.
Yeah. When you look at Africa, we have rich traditions, and we have great people on the continent. We not only just have bad governance and conflicts in our countries, but we realize there is a lot that is hidden that people cannot be able to know out of Africa. So most of the people who write stories, be it negative or positive about Africa, it's we journalists who are on the continent. So we thought, other than just being assigned to cover Africa on particular stories, then it will be important that we now move forward and look at some areas that have not been covered about Africa, because outside the world, perhaps there might be a fixed mind on how Africa should be covered or how Africa is. But we who live on the continent and you realize that Africa is rich in tradition, in tourism, and so forth. So we thought if we can be able to come together, not just not turning away from reporting on the bad governance about the continent, but as well we can also talk about our people with our traditions, culture, and other tourism sector, because this is what Africa is all known about. Yeah, outside there is a narrative that Africa perhaps is weak, health system is weak, and realize that we've had such kind of all information circulating online and in different kind of media. That Africa, perhaps when COVID-19 gets on the continent, then there could be a huge disaster. So that has not been the case to date. Yeah. So we thought it is important that now we sit together as journalists who are reporting on the continent for the foreign media. We look at areas that are still underreported, and we find ways on how we can be able to cover and also tell the African perspective the African way.
So you're not telling foreign correspondents how to cover Africa. You just want to give them an alternative perspective.
Absolutely. We are not asking foreign media to have a fixed mind on what they are reporting. And we are not in any way trying to control the editorial policy on Africa, but we're also just trying to talk to our colleagues who are covering Africa for the foreign media, that there are various ways on how we can be able to shape and the perspective about Africa, truth about Africa, rather than just telling the conflicts and bad governance.
Sure. Is there an appetite for this? We know that journalists are notoriously so busy. Is there time to sort of engage with journalists from across the African continent? Are they interested?
There is huge interest about this, and we have quite a number of our colleagues who are covering the continent who are really interested in this. So far, we've been having what we call membership drive, and the numbers are just crazy. People are really interested in being a professional network that covers the continent. And it's not just about covering the continent. We've also realized there are places on the continent where it is becoming increasingly difficult for journalists to go get accredited and work in those particular countries, especially when elections are coming. And we have put forward a framework on how we want to work with the United Nations, how we want to work with AU and other trade and regional economic blocs on the continent, that foreign journalists need to cover these particular events because they are very key events on the calendar of the Africa.
Yeah.
continent. So we must find a way on how they can be able to go cover those particular events in those particular countries, so that at least people can realize, outside world, people can realize what exactly is happening in this particular continent. So there is huge interest in this, and we are really appreciative of the fact that people are really showing great interest to join Foreign Press Association Africa, because this is one of its kind, and colleagues have really felt it is a time now. We just need to sit down, engage, and deliberate on issues that that affect the continent. For instance, when you look at the day when we'll be launching this particular association on 15th, we've set a number of panels that we need to discuss a few issues. For instance, there are issues that we are discussing how the foreign media has been covering Africa, whether there are hits and misses, whether there are opportunities and success stories that we can talk about, as well as also try to look at areas that we fall below the required threshold on reporting about the continent. Yeah. So there are a number of issues that people have really put forward and thought it is just important that we sit together as a network or professional network to discuss about this.
Very quickly, because we're running out of time, but isn't there something missing here? A discussion of excellence amongst journalism, amongst journalists on the African continent. I know that a lot of foreign press agencies are open for Africans writing about their own countries. Shouldn't that be encouraged too? Sort of African journalists spreading their message to the world.
Absolutely. And when you look at how we intend to conduct Foreign Press Association Africa, is that we are going to be identifying people who are writing excellent stories about the continent and reward them properly, because most of these journalists are writing about technology, innovations on the continent. And we thought it's just important that now we have a professional network that can also be able to look at stories that are being also done by community radios, that are being done with the local radios, so that at least we can be able to reward them for outstanding stories coming from the continent. So it is important that we also look at that angle, because it's what makes who we are today. And we'll be looking forward to discussing much in detail about this when we'll be launching this particular session this December 15th.
All right. Well, good luck with the launch on December the 15th. It sounds like a great initiative. That was the chair of the Africa Foreign Press Association, Kennedy Wandera. All right, and that brings us to the end of the show. It's a wrap. Thank you for being with us on The Full View on SABC News. From me and the team, a very good night.